internet about the transatlantic free trade agreement. Do you know that?
No, I don't know anything about it. Can you explain it to me, guys?
Well, maybe we can ask David. David, can you please explain us the aims for TTIP?
The whole point of this meeting in Lough Erne is to fire up our economies and drive growth and prosperity around the world, to do things that make a real difference to people's lives. And there is no more powerful way to achieve that than by boosting trade. And there's no better way than by launching these negotiations on a landmark deal between the European Union and the United States of America.
Thank you, David.
Thank you.
Thanks. So everything is clear right now?
Well, I just have a question. I don't understand well the global significance of the TTIP.
Well, maybe we can ask Barama. Barama, can you please explain us the global significance for TTIP, please?
As has already been mentioned, the U.S.-EU relationship is the largest in the world. It makes up nearly half of global GDP. We trade about $1 trillion in goods and services each year. We invest nearly $4 trillion in each other's economies, and all that supports around 13 million jobs on both sides of the Atlantic. And this potentially groundbreaking partnership would deepen those ties. It would increase exports, decrease barriers to trade and investment.
Do you know another free trade agreement?
Yes, of course, NAFTA.
But there are several more.
Really?
Should I show you?
Yes, please.
NAFTA was created on January 1st, 1994 between Mexico, Canada and USA to promote fair competition, facilitate movement of products and services, and to increase investment between the three countries.
United States Free Trade Agreement, which began in 2012, and that gives greater and more secure access for international delivery services and opening up of Korean market for foreign legal consulting services. The United States and Panama signed a free trade agreement on October 2011, which offers access to Panama's $20.6 billion service market in areas such as financial, telecommunications, computer, distribution, energy, and professional services.
The United States and I entered into a free trade agreement the 1st of January of 2005. This free trade agreement increased in 104% the trade between us. One of the most important benefits this free trade agreement brings is that 1/3 of all agricultural goods were dismissed. Another thing is that 97% of common goods tariffs disappeared. We also established that by 2015, the regular goods tariffs will be completely out.
Briefly explain the Chile Free Trade Agreement. It was released in January 2004, and since then the exports of the United States has increased 545%, and the export of Chile has increased 180% actually. Trade agreement that is not actually a free trade agreement because it has other specifications. Well, it came in force in February 1st of 2009.
Sebastian, and I'm going to tell you something about the free trade agreement between the United States and Israel, which is the oldest free trade agreement the US have signed. It was signed in 1985. Motivation for the free trade agreement was to reduce the dependence of Israel on US economic and military aid and instead to shift the relationship towards more trade between the two nations.
First of all, I like to talk about the bilateral or regional agreements. For example, Australia. Australia made an assessment about their surroundings and found out, of course, that there is no big economy in this region. So they have to focus on bigger markets like the US. Secondly, I like to talk about the legal gray zone, which can often emerge after the assignment of a free trade agreement. For instance, companies can file lawsuits against a state party to a free trade agreement member if they feel like its government has violated the investment guarantee stated in the agreement by changing its national laws. Furthermore, it will always take some time to evaluate if the free trade agreement has been a success story for all its members. After 20 years, NAFTA is mostly seen as a success story, but some stakeholders in the 3 countries would not agree with this perception. Finally, every trade agreement causes some concerns. I like to name some of the main concerns we encountered: social rights, environment concerns, food standards, data protection, and of course consumer protection. Our main concern, we like to point out, is that the negotiation often takes place behind closed doors without direct democratic control.
Lots of different free trade agreements. We have the USA with Canada, it's NAFTA, and Mexico. We also have the USA with Australia. We also have the USA with Singapore. We have the USA with South Korea. And
We have the United States with Europe. We have the United States with Oman, and also the United States with Chile.
We also have a free trade agreement with CAFTA, the US with Colombia, with Peru, Jordan, and Israel.
Thank you all for watching, guys. I hope you learned something about US free trade agreements and you had some fun with us. So we see us next time. Your ATT team.